Hello everybody and welcome to the famous Matches of Magic channel. Today we'll be presenting the 2019 Vintage Magic Championship Finals. This matchup is between Joe Brennan piloting Bug and Boston Schatteman piloting Jeskai Archanist aka Xerox. Before we begin, as usual, we'll take a quick look up at the deck list and then we will take you right down to the action. First, we'll take a look at Joe Brennan's deck. Bug takes advantage of the 1-mana Planeswalker in Deathrite Shaman, and it also has Leovold, which stops the opponent from drawing extra cards. It also has main deck Collector Oof, which is a hate card for the Paradoxical Outcome, which was a real force in the metagame. Then it just has a variety of Permission and Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, Force of Will, and all the good card draw, and Ancestor Reek or Ponder Preordain. Now let's take a look at the Dreadhorde Arcanist deck, where if a Dreadhorde Arcanist can get an attack in, it's pretty much game over. It just has main deck Pyroblast, main deck Shattering Spree, a bunch of hate cards, and Narset to stop its opponent from drawing extra cards. It's got Null Rod in the sideboard for Paradoxical Outcome. Now that we got that out of the way, let's head down to the match and find out who's going to be the 2019 Vintage Champion. Boston Schatteman on the right starts out with a turn 1 Gitaxian Probe, so let's see what Joe Brennan is working with the Force of Will, Underground Sea, Deathrite Shaman, Verdant Catacombs, Collector's Oof, Black Lotus, and a Wasteland. Not a bad way to start. So let's see how this game is gonna go with a turn 1 Black Lotus. So Joe Brennan, how is he going to play this hand? And he's going to start by wastelanding the volcanic island of Boston Schatteman. Going to play that Black Lotus, which is going to resolve. Now he's going to start with that Deathrite Shaman there. And what else is he going to do? Is he going to go for the Collector Oof? Yes, he's going to go for that Collector's Oof. And he has the Force of Will, but he does not have a blue card, and it passes back to Boston Schatteman, who does nothing. And Joe Brennan is going to get in for 2 with the Collector's Oof after playing an Underground Sea, and that's all he has there. Boston Schatteman is going to go with a Preordain, and he goes 2 to the bottom, and he does not hit a land there. So that might be a problem, and he passes the turn back to Joe Brennan, who just is gonna end of turn Deathrite Shaman him for 2 points by removing that Preordain. He untaps, plays a Verdant Catacomb, gets in for 2 points of damage with that Collector's Oof once again, and he is going to just pass the turn back to Boston Schatteman, who really needs some lands, or this is gonna be a short game. But he does not have a land. I did see a Pyroblast in his hand, but Joe Brennan's going to remove that Gitaxian Probe from the game, and that is 2 more points of damage. That is going to add up quickly, and Joe Brennan wastelands that volcanic island. Boston Schatteman hits the Tundra. If he did not hit a land there, it would have been game over, but he does hit a Preordain off of that Tundra, and he's gonna try to find some more mana. He goes bottom. Artifact mana is not good enough with that Collector's Oof, so he's really struggling. He did not find any lands, and he's going to pass it back to Joe Brennan after he removes another instant from the game, and that is game 1. Joe Brennan wins game 1, and we are on to game 2, where Boston Schatteman starts with a Misty Rainforest and a Volcanic Island. He leaves them on top and then passes the turn back to Joe Brennan, who has an amazing turn 1 with Double Mox and Narset, which meets a Force of Negation by Boston Schatteman, who's not going to let that Narset resolve. Joe Brennan is going to pass the turn back to Boston Schatteman, who plays another volcanic island and goes for a young pyromancer. That young pyromancer is going to immediately get abrupt decayed by Joe Brennan on his turn. Boston Schatteman goes for another young pyromancer. Joe Brennan does not have an abrupt decay for that one on his turn, so that young pyromancer is going to be getting out of hand quickly. He plays a Mystic Sanctuary, has the 3 islands, so that Ponder goes on top, and he has a Gitaxian Probe. The Gitaxian Probe gets Flusterstormed by Joe Brennan, but that Flusterstorm is going to get Mental Misstepped, and he has 2 mana to pay for that, so he is able to get around that Flusterstorm. So that is a lot of tokens there. On Joe Brennan's turn, he plays a Tarmogoyf and passes the turn back to Boston Schatteman. Boston Schatteman is getting in with 2 tokens, one of which bites the dust, so he is willing to sacrifice a token for 1 damage. We'll see if that's worth it. Is Boston Schatteman going to use the Ponder he got back off of his Mystic Sanctuary? Yes, he is. So he gets another token. He's going to look at 3, and is he going to keep them? Yes, he is, and he passes the turn back to Joe Brennan, who gets in with the Tarmogoyf. Boston takes the damage from the 4/5 Tarmogoyf, and does Joe Brennan have anything else? Looks like he has a second Tarmogoyf, and he has all action since he's been missing land drops, and the turn is passed back to Boston Schatteman. End of turn. Does Boston Schatteman have everything? He has a Brainstorm. So end of turn, he is going to be brainstorming, and then on his turn he has nothing else. He's not willing to sacrifice any more tokens, so he just passes the turn back to Joe Brennan. Is Joe Brennan gonna get in with those Tarmogoyfs? And it looks like he is. He plays a Deathrite Shaman, then gets in with the 2 Tarmogoyfs, and those are just chump blocked by 2 tokens. Boston has a Preordain. He gets another token, and then he is going to look at 2 cards, and he is going to go bottom. I saw that he has Swords to Plowshares in his hand, but he has no white mana. He's really needs some white mana to get some Swords to Plowshares going, and it looks like he hit a Misty Rainforest. He is able to get a Swords to Plowshares. He goes for Swords to Plowshares on the Deathrite Shaman rather than a Tarmogoyf, and Joe Brennan does not have a counterspell for it, so that Deathrite Shaman bites the dust. Boston is gonna get in for 3 points of damage with the young Pyromancer and a token. Boston passes the turn back to Joe Brennan, but Joe Brennan has an end of turn Brazen Bower, and the Brazen Bower is gonna meet a Pyroblast. The Pyroblast is gonna make another token for Boston. Without that Pyroblast, it might have been game over, but the Pyroblast is gonna buy him some more time. 1 token is gonna chump a Tarmogoyf, and then he is gonna take 4 more damage. He's gonna untap, and Boston really is not gonna win the race at this pace. Those Tarmogoyfs are really big. He's drawing more reactive spells. All he has are counter spells, and Joe Brennan is not casting any spells. Joe Brennan is playing this game very well. All he is doing is attacking with those Tarmogoyfs. Boston is not drawing any more cantrips. Joe Brennan just gets in for more damage, passes the turn. Boston untaps, and all he has is a young Pyromancer and 1 token. He really needs some more card draw. He needs some Time Walks, Ancestor Recall, some powerhouse spells. He gets in for 2 with a young Pyromancer and passes the turn. Tarmogoyfs get in again, and the token chump blocks, and Boston is getting dangerously low on life total. Joe Brennan plays a Underground Sea and passes the turn. Boston draws his signature Dreadhorde Archanist and passes the turn. Dreadhorde Archanist is going to be on chump block duty. Young Pyromancer and Dreadhorde Archanist are 2 of the best cards in his deck, but all they are doing is chump blocking here. It is not looking good for Boston at all. Joe Brennan is finally going to start playing some spells now that Boston does not have his Young Pyromancer in play, and the Leovold is going to meet a Force of Will. And is Joe Brennan going to care? I see he has his own Force of Will, but he doesn't care. He's got 2 Tarmogoyfs in play after all, so he's just going to pass the turn. Boston is at 1. It looks like we are going to have Joe Brennan as our champion. Dak Faden is entering the battlefield. What does that do? It looks like absolutely nothing other than making a 5/6 Tarmogoyf. Joe Brennan untaps, gets in for 10, and that is all. Joe Brennan is your 2019 Vintage Champion. I would like to thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.
I can't believe it! You could have killed me!